1, 2. We're gonna keep it moving, y'all. The sound of the police. The sound of the beast. The sound of the police. The sound of the beast. The sound of the police. The sound of the beast. The sound of the police. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we are here.
Back again.
Hello and welcome to It's Happening Show, community grassroots media for the people, by the people. I'm Jose Gloria.
And I'm Dylan Thompson. We are your hosts tonight. Tonight. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's too much.
Tonight.
Hype. Okay.
It's happening as a movement of the heart and of the mind. It's the energy of the universe that creates waves inside us and all around us, which allows us to activate, motivate, then elevate vibrationally and intellectually towards love, truth, justice, and wisdom. It's happening in every which way.
It's Happening is a culture of empowerment. It's people having the right to exist and participate as equals. It's a dream of what the world could be, but the future we want is only possible if we make it happen. So stand up, get informed, and fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
That's right. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us. So we thank you because of you.
It's happening. Woo.
Yeah.
Well, I almost felt like you were waiting for me there. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Just like,
That's good.
it's happening. It's happening. Yeah.
We're back, man.
We're back. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow, some way, we did not get canceled after last week's show. But you know, it was a good conversation. It was a good conversation. The good conversations are going to continue. We're going to have in a little bit Benjamin Vazquez and Carlos Perea from Cooperative Campaigns. So can't wait to talk to them about all things Santana politics.
It's a good idea. You know, that's a trademark.
It's a good.
Yeah.
Whose is that?
That should be the trademark for Cooperative Campaigns for sure.
That's right. Well, yeah. So, in not so important news, I love the show The Crown.
Okay.
I can speak British now.
And you're really connecting.
Jolly good. Jolly good.
You're starting to develop some sympathy for the royal family, finally. These nobles.
You know, I without we're gonna talk more about this in future shows, but I realized that the United States is not that much different from Great Britain in the sense that we have royalty here, but we have like lots of royals, whereas in England and the United Kingdom, they have subsidized their celebrities, and that's the royals. And so all to say that society needs people like that, you know, to make them feel like, oh, you know, there's something to strive towards, or I don't know, just romanticize or look up to these celebrities that have all the money and all the crowns and all the power. But here in America, we also have them. They're called influencers, and lots of money to see them and learn from them in OnlyFans pages, among other things.
Yeah.
But you do pay to see them, you know, for subscriptions to Netflix and all these things. So anyways, we pay a lot more in taxes than you know, as far as like consumer, you know, like, you know, our dollars than UK does with paying for their royals. Anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, are these good role models even? Like, I mean, even from the show. I mean, I also watched the show, and you know, they're portrayed as very broken people and very like troubled people. And,
yeah.
And heading empire and continuing empire because of the motivation, they benefit materially from it, right? So it's like, and I mean, even your comment about our celebrities. I mean, are celebrities that great? Come on, can you know? I know everyone's obsessed with them, but is that doing us a favor, or are we just Rome?
Speaking of broken empires, Donald Trump, Giuliani, and you know, and speaking of you know, how the mighty have fallen, as far as America's royalty, Giuliani, once the you know, the greatest mayor in American history, has COVID.
Trump still thinks that, but
yeah, he did great things, but I think you would agree that what he's doing now, much greater than leading the country after 9/11. It just doesn't compare. We're talking butterfly here.
Yeah, and there's this recent interview where I think Giuliani farted on the near the interviewer or something, and it's like, I mean that now that fart is not only awkward, funny, but dangerous. I don't know if it can carry COVID, but I know it does work through the air. So
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
mean, it represents what Giuliani does. Is just a putrid, just reaction, like your nose wrinkles and you kind of just go like,
yeah.
oh.
He's the human equivalent of a silent but deadly fart, except extremely loud. So
That's right. You don't talk to that.
No.
You don't. Yeah, you don't smell it, but you do hear it, and it's equally, just putrid and horrifying. All right.
audibly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
right, and man, we've got some fires here again, and there's some risk of them continuing here. We got some Santa Ana winds picking up. I can already hear it wreaking havoc on my plants. So they'll be rescued tomorrow. But yeah, so people are coming back home after these evacuations. After the Bond fire, for instance, I guess there were a couple fires happening in Canyon Country here. And it seems like it'll just continue. So
Yeah, we had bad air the other day, and it just seems like it's just a part of just living. Like like smog, right? Once upon a time, there was no smog in the air, and we could see like stars and the sun.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, we stopped seeing stars in the middle of the night, or when it was dark, and we stopped really seeing like clear blue skies. We was just like, oh, well, they must just be clouds.
yeah, but just say there's an app now, and you can there's an app for that. So
Yeah. All right. There's an app for everything.
That really disappointed you. I can tell.
Speaking of not disappointing, competitive breakdancing will be a sport at the 2024 Paris Olympics. That is exciting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I hope battle raps also go into competitive battle rapping
Sooner than later.
That'd be awesome. But I mean, no, that's cool. There's breakdancers all over the world. And, I'm sure the Chinese are going to kick our butts per usual. Yeah.
This is
them or the Russians. They just take what we do. They start training little like children at 4 years old to do windmills.
It's like,
how do you compete with that?
Yeah, it's like,
and then the Russians give them steroids, like between the steroids from the Russians and the Chinese child labor that is prepping them for.
It'd be hard to compete.
Yeah, it's just rough.
Yeah. So an interesting development. Treated as appealing to a younger audience, probably. I wonder if there will be questions of cultural appropriation at any point or something here. Like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens when it moves forward. But I mean, it's interesting to see this expand here.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into our top stories.
Top stories.
Formerly known as headlines.
Also headlines and quick stories. And stories of the day. Yeah.
All right.
Dylan Thompson. It has a name, but it has many names. Okay. Don't worry. But listen.
Like me.
Oh, yeah. Guys, COVID, I mean, it's getting worse. We're on this rebound like we were talking about last week. And now I'm just reading this story from AP News that millions of hungry Americans turn to food banks for the first time, right? So they have some graphs in here that show different food donation organizations, and that they've like the amount of food they've have to given out has grown like 30 to 50% in the last couple quarters. It comes in the wake of many people being out of work or having their hours reduced as a result of shutdowns of businesses and different things, right? So people are needing to turn to this charity or this welfare to get by. And I mean, and it kind of goes along with that. I mean, we're still debating this bailout, or not a bailout, but this COVID bill, the stimulus bill, right? Like, we've only passed one. We gave people over $1,000. How much was it?
1,200.
Yeah, once. And now the government is trying to avoid a shutdown. They're going to pass something so that the government can run for another week so they can continue debating the stimulus bill, which at this stage is half the size of the one proposed by Democrats the first time, right? And apparently this time it doesn't have any cash handout to people. Right, so it seems, I didn't look at the details exactly, but it'll be an enhancement of unemployment and different like welfare programs in place of giving people money. But look, like what the government isn't really doing much on a federal level to bail us out. Like other countries are paying like up to 80% of someone's lost wages because of being impacted by COVID. Right, they're bailing out this middle class, bailing out the working class. That's what we need right now. Let's keep everything running. And frankly, this isn't really that threatening to the people that hold power in industry and manufacturing and things, because the money is going to come straight back to you. You know, like they still control the levers of power right here. So but it's going like propping up small businesses and making sure that continues is it's going to help stop the corporate takeover, which is going to be happening. All these small businesses are going to go away because there's no support, and then there's trillions of free lending to multinational corporations that are going to just swoop in and take all that. And Amazon is going to everything's just basically going to go to Amazon at this stage. So all I'm saying, bail us out, please. What's wrong with you psychopaths? There's also the Democrats in Congress as well. Like, I mean, the Republicans are obviously way worse, but
yeah, no, completely agreed. I think I mean, Amazon is coming to Santander, so it's okay. We're gonna be saved by them once they get going there at the old OC Register building. So fear you not. I know I recently Carolyn Torres, a trustee, re-elected trustee, Carolyn Torres, she posted about how Santana, a food market, I believe, Santana food market, has been around for years. This, this Asian man, his son are running it, and they've been struggling because they can't get supplies like toilet paper and other ones that the bigger corporations and the bigger companies are kind of like gobbling up. So then, they don't have any, and so then people stop going to them or go to other places where they're able to save money, like Walmart. But of course, everything comes at a cost. And in this case, we're losing a business that was, really important to a lot of people for, and that's the case in a lot of different, for a lot of different small businesses that we're giving fresh vegetables and all the things that people need in the neighborhoods of Santa Ana, especially the lower income ones. So yeah, it's troubling. Businesses are effectively shut down, for indoor eating as of yesterday night. And so it begins 3 weeks. And of course, our Governor Newsom, all right, guys, so I just want you to know that we're going to be shutting down. And he was talking about.
I want all the citizens to know that I've been trying to have lozenges with no success. Actually, I've consulted my physician, and I'll be getting back to the American people. I mean, the Californian people, as quickly as possible. Stay indoors.
It's called Batmanism. It's a thing that you get after just being a one percenter for so long that fighting crime.
It's a Bruce Wayne complex. Definitely. Right. Just one last note on this, and it's weird because I kind of understanding I get why, if I had a business and it was my how I made a living and how I was going to support my family, and then the government told me to shut it down and then provided me no support, or basically just gave me some crappy a slight extension to unemployment. That's not going to do it. People are going to lose their businesses. And I kind of understand why people want to remain open, but I think their thinking is they have kind of a weird thinking, oh, it's a liberty issue, or it's a hoax, or the government's stupid. But look, there is an argument hey, you're going to shut us down, but you're not going to help us. You know, how can you do that? Like, we need support. Thank you. Done.
Yeah, well, hopefully locally, city, wide, their support, state. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, we need the federal government to get their rear in gear, and Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are not blameless in the failed attempt to they I believe, and a lot of people believe, that they did not want to give Trump the ability to pass a vote for stimulus to hurt him politically, which in turn then hurts people, small businesses that may or may not survive these 3 weeks. So troubling in all sorts of ways. But let's go ahead and move on to our next troubling story.
Next troubling story. Oh yeah, well, we got a little cool op-ed here in the Voice of OC. It's an open letter to the city of Garden Grove and developers trying to monetize Willowick. Residents of color will not be tokenized. This is from Karen Rodriguez. And this is a really interesting op-ed because she's responding to a recent op-ed in the Voice of OC by Brewer, who apparently works with the Jamboree, which is like a affordable housing development nonprofit, I think. Basically saying, hey, yeah, we want to hear the people's voice, and you should go with our plan because we have all this, we have open space and affordable housing and other economic incentives, right? But Karen makes a wonderful argument here with data and polling and all this great stuff, citing like a government code, and makes a really compelling case saying, we talk to the residents. They do want park space, they do want affordable housing, but you know what? Out of all the competing plans, the one that the other op-ed was supporting doesn't have the best interest of what the residents actually want and what the spirit of this Surplus Land Act actually says, right? Anyway, again, I just want, this is a great article and a compelling case that that probably we should look at these other bids and the ones that line up better with community values.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be really interesting. I mean, Santana's going to try to do, and the council members and the new council and such, going to try to do the most to advocate for its residents, because this project is in Santana, but Garden Grove does have, the city of Garden Grove and its council has a lot of, I believe, much more sway as far as what ultimately is going to happen on those grounds.
Yeah.
I mean, folks are going to say we need all that of it to be open space, and other folks are going to be like, no, we need all marketplace housing, in the little park maybe, and we have to come to some sort of middle ground in between that, because open park space is expensive. You got to pay property taxes, and in the moment when during the pandemic and facing budget shortages, it's going to be interesting. So there's got to be some kind of mixed use situation for there. But the conversation continues, and I really hope that the advocates and that are across Orange County and specifically in Garden Grove are able to lobby their councils so that it does right by its residents. But I know that the folks Willowick Coalition and have done a phenomenal job, for many times organizing the residents in that area. So I'm hopeful.
Yes, and I guess there's a city council meeting tomorrow. I guess that's Garden Grove, I suppose. That I think they'll be representing that idea there.
All right, man, there's just so much to talk about in so little time, but we got to get into our guests here. So I'm going to segue into our guest portion tonight's show by reading a little bit about the Voice of OC's article that came out just today from Brandon Pho, titled "Santa Ana's Police Chief Rung Alarm Bells Over Police Union Boss Excessive Cash Out for Time Off." Dun, dun, dun. So Santa Ana's police chief has raised questions about whether Police Sergeant Jerry Serrano, the man who just got reelected, to lead the city's powerful police union, scored excessive cash outs for unused time from City Hall. An internal memo obtained from the Voice of OC, Police Chief David Valentin says Serrano took an anomaly payment worth more than 300 hours of time off in 2017, allegedly exceeding what was allowed under the labor contract that year between the city and police union. So yeah, I encourage folks to read the memo and all the things that it says. But Valentino memo reads: in evaluating your 2018 request for cash out wallet, which exceeds the parameters of the POA MOU, the contract, staff reviewed past practice for both you and former POA presidents. The city's payment to you in 2017 for 312 hours of time off appears to be an anomaly. So yeah, it's just insult on top of injury. He's getting paid as a cop, but he's not a cop. Then he also gets paid to be the president.
So that's all part of the contract with the union. So like as part of that contract, he's released from his responsibilities as a sergeant, but he's actually netting over $500,000 in net pay and benefits, with the pay being $290,000, and then like pension and health insurance contributing to the rest, the total $500,000 compensation. And then it's funny that he's even running this cashing it. Like this looks like when you don't spend your vacation time, you can cash it in, so you're compensated for it. I think that's what this thing is that he's doing. Which is kind of normal, but in most companies. But like, damn, dude, you're already getting $500,000. You got to cash out and get another 22K from that. And apparently, the year that he had over 312 hours of time off, that was just, I think that was like when there's an interim city manager, and basically the whole city, I think, had been thrown into turmoil following the firing of David Cavazos and the chief of police. Like it took a year or so for them to start hiring heads of department. Like there was a good year or two when everything was all disrupted, and I can totally see this slipping through the cracks, during that time. Like, oops, it only gained him another $5,000 to $7,000. But you really need that on top of this guy's a millionaire. He's a millionaire.
He needs all the money. So the city previously had, been supportive or saying that they needed to have the increases in spending for the police and such, in order to attract better police officers, like the ones that arrested the two, the three people that were accosted with metal poles, that were holding Trump MAGA flags. And what did the police do? They went straight for the guys that fit the profile: baggy pants, bald head, baggy clothes. Okay, yeah, you guys are getting arrested. And I don't care that your face is all bloodied and you have broken bones, but never mind, the guys that on video clearly beat the crap out of these people, including with metal poles. Yeah, who cares about that? Because they backed blue. Gotta support those Trumpsters. Yeah, the police officers, not all of them, but many of them leave a lot to be desired here. And many of the incoming council members spoke, or a few of them. But I know that I see that Jessie Lopez in particular had some choice words to say. She said that continually hemorrhaging of public money to police officers over parks and library speaks to the culture that we have here in Santana. A culture, she said, of accepting, prioritizing the well-being of people in uniform over our community members. And when I say that, I don't mean they're not important, but especially now in the context of COVID-19, this cannot go on anymore. We cannot continue to rob our children the way the city's been functioning for so long. Dang! Get him, J-Lo. So with that, I want to bring on the show two great individuals who were part of the Cooperative Campaigns group that was very instrumental in helping elect Councilwoman to be Lopez, as well as others, including Mayor-elect Sarmiento. So Benjamin Vazquez is an educator, forever in our hearts, the mayor of Santana, the people's mayor.
Yep.
Yeah, and just an all-around badass.
Top fan.
And Carlos Perea, Commissioner Carlos Perea, and tireless advocate for immigrant rights, among other things. I'm botching your introductions, but people here know you. Y'all are the, have been in the community for a long time, and so I think, this is going to really tag on great to the conversation we had last week, which was, what is the future of the progressive movement? And what is it like to win campaigns for progressives? And what is it like to govern, as progressives in these times? So, thank you, both of you, for being on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And friends of the show, been on several times. Although it's been a while for you, Ben, maybe like a year or two. We've had Carlos recently. But welcome back. We'll start with you, Don Benjamin. How are you, sir? How are you feeling after the elections?
Oh, I'm so excited. We got good people in. We just like relieved, we put together a team for cooperative campaigns, and it worked out well. We came in. I say we saved Santa Ana. We're welcome.
Yes.
It's what we do. It's what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. It's like when Obama made that 3-pointer and he walked away. This is what I'll do. Don't mention the drones, because I do that too. Carlos, so how are you feeling, man? It was a long campaign season, but you all swept. Every single person, Dr. Alfonso Alvarez, Carolyn Torres, both got reelected. Councilmember Sarmiento is going to be the mayor, and Jesse Lopez is going to also be a councilwoman. So how are you feeling about the election and what the results?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, John? First, I was going to mention, when you mentioned Obama and Benjamin, that my favorite moment was when Don Benjamin turned a letter to Obama in Washington, D.C., letting him know to stop the deportations of young people in Orange County. So that was...
That's right. You told the president of the United States.
Oh, the president.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
Like
Mr.
that.
President,
Mr. President.
I have a letter.
What I did is I turned to Carlos and Abraham. I'm like, what do I tell them? And they're like, tell them I got you. That was what I always do. I call Carlos and I say, what's good, Carlos? And he tells me.
Takes a village. Takes a
Yeah.
village.
That was Rais at the time. I'm like, Rais, what's the message I'm going to send? So,
That was a badass move right there. No, but no, that's cool. And I know that many some folks are celebrating Pulido for whatever reason. He doesn't need to be celebrated. So I'm celebrating that he's gone. He put Santana for sale.
I remember that called for sale Santana Pulido. It was in El Centro for many years.
Yeah, and also paying homage to the work and many people that have been involved, beyond the elections, right? Since 2010, 11. This is from 2011, when they made a coalition, Centro, Chicanos Unidos, and many other groups. We all came together and started to put pressure on the city council for falling short with the immigrant community. And so I think that what's exciting about this moment, right, is that it's not just that we have, new people coming in, right? Is that, Vicente, Jesse, Caroline, Alfonso, they all ran on powerful platforms and straight out, they were saying these are our issues that we're going to stand up for. Housing is a human right, immigration, taking it beyond, reinvesting for young people, and that is enough of a lot of money going towards the police. So they ran on issues and they won. And I think that is important to everyone, right? That they also ran people power campaigns. They didn't run fancy field plans or anything like that. They ran a whole people power movement. And so I think that is what matters. That's what is important. And there's a lot of people involved in this election, but definitely we're hella happy and we're really proud that we got the right people in. But now the question is going to be, how do we govern? So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, does the work of collective campaigns end here, or is it just the beginning? Like, how do we stay with this new council and get things done?
I hope we can organize communities who are up for election, Ward 2, Ward 4, Ward 6, and start organizing people in those wards to get those walkers, those people that are going to go door to door when campaign season starts.
True.
Start talking to them now. Start doing the organizing.
Yeah.
Go grassroots on it and not wait till the end. But hey, this is our ward. here's what we want, and here's who the kind of people we want, and have people like champions. Like, I think I talked to a candidate earlier, and I'm like, earlier on in the campaigns, like, we need a champion. We don't need somebody who's going to waffle on things. We need somebody with a platform, and I think Jesse's been hitting it hard, and just lately she just came out with some stuff, and Alfonso and Carolyn's always a champion. You know, like, and we need people who are going to motivate the change that we need, to have those ideas like sanctuary city. Like, it was great, the move that Carlos made as soon as Trump was in. I'm sure you guys made the call to get that passed through, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. So we need champions at that time. Who championed? Was it David and Vincent who championed it, or who did you get to?
It was, David and Sal.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, Sal.
So
Tina
Uncle Sal
Hero
came through.
David and Sal then.
God bless his soul.
Here's me in the background carrying Sanctuary City back in 2000. What was that, 2008?
Yeah, that's before Sanctuary became cool, or the Hamid has been saying it for a long time.
Dang.
Again, Carlos,
consistent.
Again, Carlos said, "You want to carry this sign?" I'm like, "I got you, Carlos. I'll carry the sign."
Oh man, yeah. Having been a part of organizing May Day marches and stuff, it was always the struggle to try to get people to carry those big old signs, because you would be damn tired afterwards. But Ben's buff, so he'd just be like, "I got this." Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's a giant piece of like still living bamboo. Okay, just carry that. Some Scots bamboo.
Yeah, but I think you're right. That some of the things, or many of the things that have been talked about, that have come to fruition. Folks were talking about them for many years, and perhaps they were seen as radical or far left, but either people got eventually grew towards these ideas, or just the collective psyche of society kind of started getting hip with it, and it stopped being so scary. I mean, or we started getting people elected towards city council that would be champions on these things. And one of the things that I've learned, and even with council member Sarmiento, and I was never shy about it, there's many times where I disagreed with him and he voted against the things that I wanted him to, but it was always a working relationship. And so there is a question of like, at what point do you just say like, you're dead to me, like, when are people like, they like go over from like, okay, you're disappointing me, but you're not done yet. And at what point you're just like, you're done. Because Penalosa, you mentioned, did champion that the sanctuary stuff, but then he also called kids what was it, animals, right? I mean, he was quick to apologize about that, and that was good, but he needed to be called out first, and then he realized that. So sometimes it's a working conversation with people, but sometimes people just completely sell out. In the case of Latino Trump, for example, which he's out.
He's done.
he didn't fit in the photo, but I personally have something for him. That's true. It's like even with Vincent or the previous council, right? It took them a long time to get it right. It took people power, it took mobilizations, it took actions. Many times I'm going in city council with these puppets, that we took until Pulido banned them. He banned the big posters from coming into City Hall because we were bringing his face pretty much every time we could. But it's the question is, we are at a time where we need elected officials to run on a people platform, to run on demands that come from the grassroots, and I think back then maybe it was tolerable that we had elected officials kind of like I don't know where I stand anymore, education and and all that good stuff, but it's 2020 now. Right now the issues around that impact our communities, and you can't be shy about it. You can't be fearful of saying I'm going to stand for this. Either you're with it or you're not. And I think that is important. That I think this election was also a warning to the current council that is here right now. It's a warning for future elected officials that our movements do have power. and also that the demands that many people, say for a long time that are too radical, they are electable. If you engage the people on the ground, those demands, those things that people are experiencing, people are gonna vote for you. And so again, do you wanna? I think the question for the council that we have right now, whether it's Phil, whether it's Peñalosa, or any incoming council members, right? Are you going to be, a champion of people's issues, or are you going to be another pulido, that puts people and the city for sale? I think that's going to be the question moving forward.
I think when we the activists, the organizers got involved in politics and campaigns, they had to listen to us. I attempted to run for mayor, and we had Anna do a great job, and it woke people up, and people started seeing that. And Manny ran, and when Carolyn won, I called Carlos the next day. Like, yeah, Carlos, the People's Party, let's go. I'm like, let's go. It's on. So that was what she did was very inspirational. She actually got in, and everybody else had to stand up and say, well, they're serious now. We need to take them into account. And it just can't be a few people in cooperative campaigns. We need more of the city to come out. We need people to walk and make at least, the commitment to come and walk with us when the campaigns do happen, or come out to events or donate money, whatever you can, as much as you can. Make food for the people who are walking, whatever you can do. But like, Santa Ana needs to get involved. We need people to empower. Like, otherwise the money will beat us out. People power will always beat money. But if we stay home, if we stay on our couches, if we say somebody else will do it, the money's gonna win. And what happened is this time, the people power came out and moved, and we need more of it, because they're gonna come harder at us each and every time.
Right.
We need more and more people moving.
Oh yeah, and like take Anaheim as an example. The first round of the ward elections was very good, but then they figured out the game, and the money won the next time in Anaheim. So hopefully a cautionary tale that definitely, like the work you're talking about, keeping up this. It's I think like all the attempts that people had in the past, it built this knowledge, right? And now there's like a framework for like running a progressive campaign. It's not like you're just alone, or like you started running at the last minute or something like that. So yeah, I think this is going to be vital. And maybe another question to add on to that is like, how do you start the campaign for next election at this stage? Like, what does that engagement look like? Because we were pretty much looking for candidates, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were looking for candidates. But the other thing is, right, it's not just to look for candidates, right? It's like, do we have the right people to run? That have the heart in the right place, that have community at hand? Because to find someone to run, anyone can be found to run, but do we want a Solorio, or do we want a Carolyn Torres? That's
Right,
really
right.
the challenge.
True.
And I think that for 2022, the question, I think that the landscape has already been laid out. 2020 in a way was, it exposed some of these players within the establishment or entrenched power in Santa Ana, that they are more about themselves than they are about community change. We saw it in the school race, in the school board race, how they came out really hard against Caroline, how they came hard on Alfonso and Rigo. You have some school board members, their fellow colleagues, engaging in misinformation campaign and smearing them. And so we saw where they stand now, right? So that's not a brainer. We need new school board members for 2022. That is not John Palacios, that is not Valerio Mezcua. And then for city council, it's going to really depend whether or not, this council that remains works well with the incoming council on the issues that, are impacting Santa Ana residents. So we're watching, and we saw what they did during these elections, and there was nothing, ethical or with integrity in what, how they have engaged in politics.
And Jose.
Politics is a dirty game. It really is. I've many times said the people that should run don't, and the people that shouldn't run because they're ambitious, opportunistic, like step on your brother to get to the top, or sister, or people, you know, and those are the type of people that run and many times win. But I think you said it, a lot. Both of y'all said very important things. And I said in last shows, like, without Benjamin and Ana running the first time around, I think that was kind of like broke the seal or opened, the gates for folks to be able to dream. It's like, wow, we can, our community, leaders, community members, grassroots, heroes can run, and yeah, they can, and they should. But viability is real, and what is viability? So, well, you don't need all the money. You need some money, one. And two, you need people power. You need a base of people, and you also need to have enough time to be able to reach all the voters. So I can only see for myself as far as like what I've learned and grown from the past 10 years. But I mean, Ben, you've been here longer. So you saw, things and you saw like building this, class consciousness, if you will, right? With youth and immigrant mamas and adults and El Centro, and then, organizers and activists and nonprofits to kind of build this little thing that then, ultimately gave way to a win in Carolyn Torres. But I mean, yeah, so that I think that's important to lay out. But also I would say that, Carlos, like, we've grown a lot, from idealistic and some would argue overly idealistic, short-term wins type of versus like the long-term strategic, building and coalition building and figuring out how to win. So, I mean, yeah, so I think that's important also to uplift and to say that it took 10 years, at least, if not more, from like, the inception of like, we want our people to represent us and actually having that. So, and I guess like my question for both of y'all is like, can progressives govern, and what is it going to take in order to do that? Because compromise is an ugly word, but like it's everything that it seems to be what being an elected official is. You're going to upset some people sometime. You can't make all the people happy all the time. So this is for either one of you to jump in.
Well, we've been giving away the city and our resources, workers and the police, the last 20 years, not doing anything for community. In 2004, Rockefeller came out with a study that Santa Ana was one of the harshest places to raise a family. It's gotten worse. That's a legacy of Pulido. That's why we don't want him, right? That's the legacy that he brought. Like he has done nothing. So our resources should be going to that. And we need to, like, we've been giving it away. So all these wins, hopefully we start seeing the wins come in and the compromise won't be much, but we should flex our power that we just did in this last election. We should tell the people who are on the dais that we are going to flex our power. We are going to organize. We're going to come out better organized and stronger next time in 2022, because we know we have to, because then the money will take over. But we've been neglected for the last 20 years. We've been neglected as a city, as a communities and youth and families. Like our housing is backed up decades. Our housing is backed up in decades. So the affordable housing, just getting rid of that, what they just voted out, ruined a bunch of affordable housing, whatever we could get out of it. And they're not seeing us as a holistic approach to the resources that Santa Ana has. That's why, you need to ask for there to be a vision, for there to be a platform of how we're going to run the city. Are we going to run it to sell it to the POA, the police, who keep putting in, just elected their union president over and over again, who goes against the people of Santa Ana? Are we going to keep giving away land to developers without no community benefits agreements? And that's what we've been doing. We've been giving away, our resources are limited. When you sell land, that land is gone, and that money just goes away, shrivels up, because it's not ongoing. And that year, somebody takes it. But if we keep our land and we build on it, and we have that in the community benefits and have a long-term lease and have people live, and we benefit for years, if families benefit for long periods of time, then we invest in our families. That money's invested forever as long as we keep that land. Land is really important right now And I think the city just wants to give it away and give it to their friends so they could get reelected. It's about getting reelected. And that's why we continue doing this cooperative campaigns, is because we need people to come out and help us elect the right people so we get those resources. Government is nothing more than managing your resources, the limited resources that we have. And we've been giving them away. We raise the taxes, we pay the POA, we get land, we sell it, and help out developers. It's been a giveaway, and Santa Ana's been rotting, and people have not been able to buy houses, pay rent, have a good living standard. It's all been falling apart. Oh
yeah,
Toledo's legacy.
Yeah, guess so.
Sure.
Gosh,
And I had a kind of follow-up question, to new opportunities because of the new council. Like, I feel like in the past, I've looked at the council and I never felt like someone, maybe on a particular issue there would be champions, but with regard to my entire politics, there wasn't someone who represented my politics or progressive politics, like grassroots politics. Now there's potentially 3 or 4 or however you want to evaluate it. How many, we got all of the grassroots candidates in this time. Are we going to be able to engage with the council in a different way than we've ever been able to now? Maybe Carlos, do you want to speak to that?
Well, for one is, I think our friends on our council now they know that we can make puppets. But,
man, we need those workshops again, Ben. Bring them back.
No, but all jokes aside, I feel that I think you're right, Dylan. I think we finally have folks in city council that share a vision and politics that many of us share, right? And this is not just about left or right. This is about, are you with working class residents? Are you with young people in Santa Ana? Are you going to ensure that residents, that don't have an immigration status are engaged and they're counted in the civic, process? And as much as we want to say that Santa Ana, it's all inclusive and everyone, their voices can be heard. But what we have seen is that only those with money or with land are heard in Santa Ana. Yeah. And so we finally have a council, with Mayor Sarmiento and Councilwoman now Lopez, that will be engaging with the base. With folks right here at Cooperative Campaigns, we're going to continue to engage them and say, hey, these are the issues that we're working on, to be more allies, right? First time we can have allies that we can build ideas from.
Yeah.
But I think the larger question, right, because you have other 2 council members, right, that are coming in, Council Member Fan and Council Member Hernandez, and the question is going to be, right, can there be a governing coalition to push forward the issues that impact the community? And and we have to be realistic that it's not going to be perfect, right? We don't know, we don't know where candidates or where new members are going to vote on development. We know where they stand on police issues. We know where they stand on youth issues, on immigration. But the hard questions are going to be around development. And so, and when it comes time to then vote on police budgets, that's also going to be a tough one. So, and rent control as well. So I think that there's a lot of places that we see commonality, that we can push forward good policy. But we also know that there's going to be some fights that, we're still going to have to fight.
Oh yeah, big time. And maybe another kind of quick one after that is say we can get this coalition to support, say, rent control or reducing the police budget. When they are are we gonna, it feels like we've never been in this position, maybe a lot of the times, but do we have to defend our council members now when they take these stands? Because it's I think often we don't know how to connect with them. There have been times when finally when Sal or whoever is on their last term, they're the POA is horrible, they're buying everything. It's that's cool, but it's I feel maybe they would have said it earlier if they knew that we had their back.
That would have been very helpful.
Yeah, it may have been. So
no, I don't really want to think of it, but we have to come through and again, the people elected our folks, and the people have to come and work with our folks to do that, because they are not going to be able to do it alone.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think, mentioned it before many times. Folks would be like, okay, well, you want me to support you on these issues, whether it's rent control but are you going to help me get elected when the time comes? And, perhaps people were, for various reasons, were not as involved in those campaigns, and maybe it was the community's fault. Maybe it was the elected's fault. Maybe it was a combination of both things, but that changed this time, right? And that folks were really adamant about tapping into their networks and really getting out the vote in crazy ways. I mean, we set records here, and the youth vote this time around cannot be ignored. But, the question is the youth vote going to be there in 2 years, in 2022, when Donald Trump is not on the ballot, and all of this attention towards voting is not perhaps as passionately there and strong. So I think that's a part of it, right? But yeah, and here's what else, one thing that I said recently to someone. I said, the developers always get their way. They always get their way. They've, either you sweeten the deal or, you create loopholes in the housing opportunity ordinance for them to not build housing in, the developments, which is the spirit of the damn law. But no, they'll rather pay the fee because God forbid that, poor people live amongst, the more affluent, higher, earning type of housing. But can we get rent control? And I feel that perhaps if it has to go hand in hand. You have to prevent displacement by having a robust and strong rent control policy. But if we are to move forward with any kind of conversation around development, because then, if not, then the people that live around Willowwick, for example, are going to be displaced. Any kind of first world development, whether it's this stupid trolley that many people are complaining about, saying that there's like jackhammers at midnight, won't let you go to sleep. My tires and my freaking my shocks are shot in my car every time I drive down Broadway because of all the damn construction. But that's going to raise property values, and that's going to then raise rents, and that's going to displace people at the very time that you're trying to help them, and at the very time that people are struggling because of the pandemic. So, I think that's kind of important to highlight. But right, big time. So, what's the future for you, Ben? Are you running? Hey.
Reluctant candidate. Last time it didn't stress me out, but it took me away. And I was developing 2 classes, so it took me away from developing my classes that I should have been developing. And I'll be a master by 2022. I think I mastered my other classes, and I'm getting there. Like, I love ethnic studies. I go behind it. But I'm still the reluctant candidate. I really want to have somebody strong run and represent us in Ward 4. We need somebody for the people. It's really a struggle to live within here. The families are having issues, and the person who's gonna eventually run, who's on the council, David, I don't think he's for rent control. I don't think he's for selling off the land. He's with the developers. He's with the police. I hope he turns around and starts making better decisions, because we can't wait 2 years. I'm still hoping for David to look deep inside of himself and really reflect on the things he's working. But we'll have somebody ready to go. And if in January 2022 we don't got nothing, then I have to pull the trigger. But I think we have a lot of people who are willing to step up and do the work in Santa Ana. We have a lot of warriors, and we have really great people who are willing to take this under and do it. If not, I'll go full-fledged. I'll make sure I go all out if nobody else steps up. But I think we have good people. It takes away, but like I was full, and I would more than full-fledged support whoever's running, who carries a platform that agrees with the co-op campaign platform. I would go all out. I'll be walking, every weekend, twice, Saturday and Sunday, organizing from my house, calling on my neighbors, doing, you know, if you're gonna run in Ward 4, let me know. I'll get you back, and then we'll start working. We'll start working now. We'll start having in my backyard. Inviting over the neighbors and talking politics and saying what's good, what's not. Start developing a core group of folks and walking up and down the streets from the get-go. Let's do this, if you know. But I think we got somebody who wants to run, and we'll let them pull their hand in the ring when they're ready. If not, we'll pull the trigger and we'll go all out with co-op campaigns, hopefully.
So you heard it, and it's happening here first. That the Venice is watching.
Damn! This is not a warning. It's a threat.
And
we want better choices from from David, who's in Ward 2 right now, but we want better choices from him. We want him to do the right thing. We want him to look inside himself and support single mothers, support immigrant families, support the people who need you the most, and not the people who are going to pay you to get reelected. We want somebody with the voice of the people. Yeah. So if David's watching, if David hears this, he needs to straighten up and make sure his choices are not. We don't pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. We do it because we love each other and we take care of each other and we do the best we can. This is the harshest place to raise a family. The rent does not match the salary. It's just obvious. It's like we need to do a lot better with our resources, that limited resources that we do have. He can't be on whatever he learned in 12th grade government, he's got to throw out the window because that shit is not working no more. You know, he needs to figure out how to be a better city council member and start walking to people, not about parks. And I know he had a little thing about like, we need rent. We need the basic things. Our people are hurting seriously. And it's only obvious around now during COVID, folks are extremely hurting. Why we're so much people, like 10, 12 people in a single family home. That's hurt. That's pain that people are having. This is why it's going on.
And this is the kind of issues that, I mean, affect the children that you educate, right? This is the traumas that they face because, you know, their parents are stressed out, they can't pay rent, and it all trickles down, right? And then of course then you have to act as both an educator and low-key kind of, you know, a motivator and therapist, or, you know, just be like, hey man, you can do this.
If you're an educator, you should support housing, rent control, affordable housing, responsible development. If you're an educator and you're working with these kids and you want the best for your families, you're gonna be out there pushing forward these ideas. This is what we need. We need. It's not like we turn around and we take in what we can. We're like, these are my kids from when you're born in Santa Ana, and they continue being my students when they graduate. And I want the best for them. I care deeply for the livelihood of the families and the students that come to my school. And that's why you can't ignore rent control. You can't ignore affordable housing and gentrification, all those issues. Some people want to ignore it and say, just stick to what we have responsible for. But if we need champions, we need champions to move big ideas. And the more of those champions that we have, like Carolyn, who speaks up against these things, the more it allows other people to join you. The more elected officials speak out for us and be champions, the more it allows other people to turn the way. So now that we have somebody like Jesse, it's going to allow David to turn around and listen to her and allow him, hopefully, to make the right choices. It's going to allow, hopefully, Phil or Nalida to, now that you have somebody as strong as Jay, I'm hoping somebody, please. Like human, right?
Please. We'll take you. We'll forgive you.
I don't want to demonize him like in the middle, you know, like let's have hope. Like I still have hope. Like, I don't know. I have hope for people all the time. And it's a teacher. Occupation as a teacher, you hope. For somebody like Solorio, we're just like, oh, that fool's gone. You know,
like Ben, he stopped coming to class a long time ago and stuff. Yeah, but he's still. There's still hope, man. He can still graduate.
Right.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Speaking of just finding people to do the right work, commission appointments are going to be opening up. I mean, is there something we can do to find people for those? Right. Possibly. I don't know if that's something you guys are looking at.
How does it work? Do you have to live in the ward that in order that the person that appoints you.
A certain percentage have to be from your ward, and like they give you
Yeah.
like another 20 outside of your ward.
Yeah.
It's hard to find. So a certain percentage have to be from your ward. For the
Although I don't know if that changes with because now, because before, you know, they could be with your ward or not with your ward, but it was really a citywide like position. So I think now with the district elections, you know, I'm hoping that more commissioners that are get appointed are actually part of the areas where they live, and you know, I think that is important.
Councilwoman-elect Tavia Fan says half of the appointed commissioners have to be within and the rest without. So, yeah, that's there. It is. So,
all right. No, she has the answer. That's a good. I love that. She should always be in the chat. We have a question.
Yeah.
Like kind of a legalese thing you could probably help with.
Our awesome. Unofficial researcher.
Yes.
Yeah. So people are rooting for you, Ben. They say, "Let's go, Ben." January 2022. We need action now, Jesse Lopez. So, yeah, you got some power in your corner. But I think that the word I subscribe to the concept of reluctant revolutionary. It's like, if I have to, I'll do it, but there should really be more. Who else, you know? And so
I'm still a soldier.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I mean, you know, revolutionary, no doubt, but still, it's like you don't lust for, you know, the position. You're like, if no one else is there for it, but then is incumbent upon us as a community to be, and this is what I believe both of y'all and all of the people that are part of cooperative campaigns, you know, Maria, Tracy, and Yenny, and Andrew, are very much intentional about educating, teaching, mentoring, and bringing people along, you know, and building this leadership pipeline. Because I'm just so tired of the same people going to all the meetings and just, you know, taking off one hat and then putting on the other one. It's like, we're not building a base that way. We need new people. So in this moment where, you know, we can get perhaps folks that, you know, into commission positions that are younger, that'd be great. But also, like, don't set them up to fail, you know, whether it's a commissioner or an elected official, right? Like, just because they check the identity politics doesn't mean that we set people up to fail. Like, we have to, like, support them and give them the tools that so that they can succeed, right? So I'm hopeful of that.
And really quick, early on, you talked about having a viable candidate, and let's also not be gatekeepers. And if, you know, let's talk to people, and if they want to run, like I know I used to do it a lot, and I check myself when I do, and I'm like, damn, I'm being a gatekeeper right now. So you better
not
stop.
not viable.
So who would have thought, you know, that we would have had this new group of electors right now that are coming in, and so let some people dream and let them come up and new leadership, and it's great to have them. Like, nobody's viable in the beginning, nobody, you know, but if you try and you do the work and you help them out and you teach them the way, and hopefully you support enough and they'll get in. So
takes time.
I think you're absolutely right. And nobody should be gatekeepers, but I still very much believe that the concept of viability is real. And I explained exactly what it was in the beginning. You don't have to have all the money, but you need some money. And if you don't have the money, then you definitely need people power. And you need a little balance of both. But people that are just like, I'm going to run. It's like, that's great. That's commendable. Awesome. But you need a plan to win. And you need a team like Cooperative Campaigns that has, you know, all the, you know, experience and all the expertise that can take you to the promised land. And you need to hustle your freaking butt off. You know, and I always say, like, you know, Jesse Lopez really exemplified, and so did Carolyn. I mean, but also, you know, they're educators and the greater community that she built for years. You know, you need that. You need to hustle. And
they also need to have a plan, and they need to stand for something, because you know, I think again, they just not there's many people running. You know, that's never going to be an issue. It's just going to be, you know, what's their plan? What are they bringing in? What is it that they are proposing? Otherwise, you know, it becomes like a like a popularity contest, well, elect me because I'm cool, or this is what I am. But they need to have a plan. Otherwise, people are not gonna see them as viable.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't politics a popularity contest? It's like a a beauty pageant and stuff. It's like, and now like the swimsuits. I mean, I'm being facetious, but Eric agrees with me. It's like, nah, they have to be viable. So like, I'll just say that like
and Eric is like the master on the field.
But like, who says who's viable? Like at first, I'm saying at first glance, you throw them through the ringer, and you're like, how viable are you? You have that discussion. You sit down with them, because I don't think, some people that we want to run, they're gonna say they're not viable, and we're like, we're running them.
This is true. What's her name? Angie Amescua. Who would have thought that she was viable? She got outspent 10-1 against Eric Alderati, and she just won. There's a lot of factors that played into her. She had a good name. Amescua, Alfredo had just run before her. All these things, but that's an anomaly. You don't win by spending $500 on your campaign. Just throwing your name out there. That's usually not. And so we shouldn't just think like, just try and we'll see what happens. Just
it worked for Steve Rocco. So
Janelle Hardy says plan, vision, and some work in the trenches neighborhoods. So yeah, I think that's what you said, Carlos. That folks have to have a plan, a vision, and they have to have been put in work. And I think every single one of the candidates that ran and won has been putting in work, whether it's, Dr. Alfonso Alvarez with in his community, Carolyn Torres, I can't say enough about all the work she's done. Jesse Lopez with her work with, in healthcare, helping people during the pandemic, but then, also just really hustling. She ran for to become an ADAM. I believe she ran for Central Committee, and then she ran for City Council. So she's been talking to voters for like a while now. And if you haven't, and you just think like in a few months you're going to talk to enough voters to win, like I just don't see that. But what it has been proven, and I think just to kind of wrap up this conversation, and just maybe wrap it up, is that big money in and of itself is not going to win, because candidates had a lot of money, and including in the POA endorsements. So every single one of the POA endorsed candidates lost. Vic Mendez lost. Jose Solorio lost. And I believe Cynthia Contreras.
Mark McLaughlin lost, and
Mark McLaughlin lost.
Yeah.
Oscar Reyes, although he claims that he wasn't, but he totally was. But he had a lot of money. Facebook ads are expensive, yo.
That's all he did.
Money on ads promoting false information on who was supporting Carolyn and Alfonso and Rigo, and then Valerie supported that, and it's like, how are you going to support misinformation?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and like we can agree to disagree, and there's many people on my Facebook that I don't agree with everything. I have Republicans even, but it was just the amount of misinformation and just slander was just really troubling from her in particular. Alfonso Alvarez says, I wasn't considered viable when I first ran. But see, here's what I don't want it for it to sound when I say viable. People, the gatekeepers say viability is if you're too progressive, if you're too not establishment enough, you're not viable. And I think that's what people sometimes come to mind when folks talk about viability.
Right.
That was the measure. And so that's not the measure anymore.
No.
If you can be progressive, as you mentioned, Carlos, earlier, you can run, a very like unabashed, unafraid, and championing progressive values, with a strong team and with a base and with, a strategy, and you can win, but not in and of itself, or not because of that, you are not viable.
Yeah, the viability comes from the practical steps you need to take to get elected, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Are you developing your campaign?
Yeah, I'm writing this down. I'm taking notes.
Let's Thompson, 2022.
We have a lot to learn on this subject still. So
yeah, like like who's backing you up? Who's gonna walk with you every day? Who's your base? Who's making sure you're okay? Who's running your money? Who's organizing the volunteers? Who's doing your field work? There's a bunch of stuff that you should be doing, that you should be doing all the work. And some people do all their work, but follow up all your friends and give them assignments.
Oh yeah. delegate.
Yeah, and like, I'm running. Do you have my back? Yes or no? And once you have that, then I think you're viable.
I'll give you a couple bucks.
Add to that the values, right? Because again, it's like you can be viable and not take all the steps, but you don't have the values that speak to people, right? That connect with people. I think that's important. That's the reason Alfonso won, right? That's the reason why Jesse won and Caroline, as well. Like they were connected to the people on the ground.
So I guess that's the formula: is values and
plus vision,
vision, values. There's a lot of V's here.
And work ethic.
Plus work ethic equals.
You gotta do what Jesse did, walking every day. Like, she was waking up at 8 in the morning, and she was walking every day of the week. That girl.
That's right. Tracy says so many people who should be running but don't are considered not viable. Even Gustavo Arellano said Jesse wasn't going to win, but she won big. Oh, take that.
To be fair, Gustavo said he's always wrong. So
that's right.
So he was right.
She was right. He was wrong.
That's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah. So values and viability. That's the slogan.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I wanna end on maybe a lighter note.
Okay.
Can we talk about one memory as far as the legacy of corruption that has been and was Pulido for 26 years? I mean, some of us were wee little kids when when Pulido was elected. I don't most people had never grown up with anybody beyond the mayor Pulido as their mayor. So go ahead, whoever wants to start. What is one memory that you will never forget about Pulido's reign, and one thing that you will not miss about him, or something? One of the two.
I can start. I mean, the reason why I'm also putting this photos up is, that was like really badass like actions that made. But also, this is where especially when I was young, right, a long time ago, I started to become aware about, like the politics in the city. After one of my first day marches, and then the next day going into city council to speak on with many folks around impoundment of cars, and this energy around that many people had, that they were tired of Pulido. And one, they were tired of the city council, but they were also tired of Pulido. And I think what always has stuck with me is, the slogan is Pulido for sale, right? Because he did sell our communities. And I'm thinking about the impoundment of cars, how, he wasn't really helpful. He was for the impoundment of cars of undocumented community. When you think about the immigration jail, for example, as well, he was thinking about ways in which he can make money for the city, for himself, but always at the cost of like working immigrants, that's his legacy. Everything that he did, every major development that he has pushed, or things that where he's looking to make a business for himself, everything he's done for Pulido and for Pulido himself, and so that's his legacy.
Oh yeah.
The biggest memory I have of him politically is we had a high pedestrian death rate. We had the highest pedestrian death rate in the country at one time in Santa Ana. And Pulido's statement came out that he says, this is not a political issue. So we just lacked any leadership in saving people's life at that time. And my heart sank, and I knew he was not the right person for the job. I knew he was heartless. I knew he didn't care about us at that moment. It was about him. But having the highest death rate for pedestrians, and he not wanting to do a thing, he's not gonna mention it. That's who he is. That's exactly who he is. Kids are being run over. Kids are on bikes getting hit by cars. They're dying on the streets, and he didn't care, and that's who he is.
Ouch. Well, bon voyage.
Dylan,
yeah.
go next, and I'll
Okay, I'll try to make it lighter. Definitely, I remember when Adam Elmerek wrote so many stories about. Yeah, I remember he wrote so many stories about Polito that like he got a promotion and got hired at the LA Times. But like he'd be like, dude, Polito's Facebook friends are like super sus. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all these exposés, like the property swap. Definitely remember that. I will say. Does someone know where that Polito puppet went? Because it went in the basement, and then it's just like it's gone. Like
I don't know. So we can remake it, no?
I guess so, but someone knows because someone did take it. Dang. And I just if they're in the chat, I mean, make an anonymous account, send an email to us. We will get you out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, there is so many memories. I remember that one time that he cleared out the council chambers because somebody was wearing F the police hat, and Dylan and Alicia Rojas and other folks stayed behind and were arguing with the police. But he's like, you know, I'm just gonna stop the meeting right now because I just think that it's really disrespectful to our police. It's like we don't care. This is protected speech, but he did it. And you know, Polito's legacy is that of Anakin Skywalker. There was so much potential for him. He was a grassroots champion that was taking on the white establishment that was, you know, the political machine in Santana, and he rose up in a swelling of grassroots support as he was this little small business owner that could, and you know, and won a council seat. And very very quickly learned the rules of the game, became entrenched with like the worst of the worst in the corruption in Santana politics, and really never looked back. Polito was, I always say this, and this is not a praise, he was one of the greatest politicians ever, which doesn't make him a great human being. Quite the contrary, but it does, you know, I can't knock his hustle in the same way that I can't knock Lou Correa's hustle, because, you know, they obviously, you know, what it takes to win. You know, Lou Correa will also be like, you know, Latinos don't vote. So
here we go again.
but yeah, so like, you know, the legacy of somebody that turned to the dark side and ultimately became the Darth Vader of Santana politics. But when we're going crazy Mandalorian, you know, Star Wars analogies here, but because I've been watching Mandalorian, it's so good. But yeah, there's still some good in him, in that, and this is where I'll say something nice about him. He was actually pretty good with the, you know, with pushing for COVID-19, relief to Santana, but it's only in comparison to like, you know, pieces of crap like Mayor Sibu and others, you know, like anti-maskers and, you know, COVID deniers in other parts of Orange County.
Yeah, I don't give him that much credit for that because the dude has like one fucking a white blood cell. So, you know, that's like a self-motivated thing. Okay, but when I do
money to his people through UCI research or something.
Right.
Well, I had a couple
testing for UCI he wanted to throw out.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. How about this one? Let's just say there was a particular friend we had that had a farm out in Orange, and on a particular solstice, the mayor and his family came out, and so it was like the mayor and his family and a bunch of extremely radical anarchists, and I'm like, this is the weirdest group of friends I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, maybe you guys will know what I'm talking about.
I remember.
I don't identify anyone.
Carolyn Torres on the comments says, on a conference call for COVID, he went on a rant about Antifa coming to his house, all panicked, LOL.
No.
She continues, that's why it's not just about grassroots but political analysis. Many folks who run have great stories and are decent folks, but they don't have a strong left-leaning analysis. Eric says, Darth Vader has a lot more redeeming qualities than Blue.
Ouch.
Ouch. Damn. Yeah.
Also,
wow.
Yellow is the new red. Remember that? They cut public comment down to 2 minutes. He'd say yellow's the new red.
What does that mean?
Time's up.
He said that?
Yeah, because it went from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, so they never fixed the light that was there. So they're just like, yeah, when it's yellow, you're done. Yellow's the new red.
And he also pushed public comments to the end of meetings because he was tired of people like talking crap about him. Although, again, to his credit, he would just hear like the worst things about himself. Like, thank you for your comment, speaker. Blah, blah, blah. You're up next. Like he would just like water off a duck's back. You couldn't hurt his feelings even if you tried. And I was in meetings with Pulidos at times, and the man had like the ability to make you think that he cared about you and like draw you in. But I was like, like I didn't fall for the spell, but I could see how people would and did. But
wait,
God,
bro,
no.
I have another one.
Okay, last one.
I wasn't here, but my wife was there. Like, Polito's running for supervisor, and he goes to that debate that was at like LHA. And then he goes up to Albert and he's like, "Hey, Albert, how's it going?" And he's like, "No, I'm not shaking your hand." Albert wouldn't shake his hand. And then the Polito's like, "Hey, can you connect me with this person? I need to talk to them." He's like, "No." And then the mayor went away awkwardly. I'm like, Albert, yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Good times.
Is that where he left LHA early so he wouldn't debate me?
Damn.
Ooh.
He showed up and he left.
Ouch.
He didn't want to debate me.
Oh, that's a moral victory on top of an actual one. Yeah.
I remember.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So it was 26 years, way too long, the longest I believe in the history of Orange County mayors. But he broke a lot of things. But and this is where I'll give credit to the Santa Ana Spring. I mean, they could have done more. I think many of them would attest to as much, but they at least were able to set in motion the mechanism with term limits and breaking, and getting rid of Paul Walters and all these things that kind of slowly but surely gave way for the beginning of the end of the Pulido regime, whether he liked it or not. Because if that fool had the chance to run again, he probably would have won again.
I mean.
Yeah.
Wasn't he trying to run for Ward 3 too? From what we heard, like at the beginning of the election cycle.
Yeah, there are loopholes.
He's gonna run again.
He could.
He's trying to figure out what he's gonna run for.
Yeah, and as many politicians that stopped being politicians, he started then lobbying. So a lot of the PACs that were attacking, people like Tai Fan and Sarmiento and others, were supported by him. So he lost. He got his ass kicked. Him and the powers that be. So it wasn't just that like folks won. It's just how they won is what makes it so sweet. So yeah, it's a pretty sweet feeling, and I'm still like riding on cloud 9. And walking on sunshine. Oh, and don't it feel good? No, anyways, but it's like I feel similarly to maybe how when Obama got elected, and when everybody's like, and I believe in hope and a change and this and that, and then once he got elected, like I saw when he walked up, he had this different look on his face. He's like, oh shit. Now he
starts getting gray hair. I think his hair started going gray immediately. Day one.
But yeah, so
when you lie that much, it ages you. Just by the way, you know what I'm saying? Like every time Obama had to wing a speech, sorry, this is totally off topic, but he'd go all the time. It's because he's trying not to lie constantly. Go ahead.
Out of the abundance of caution, that was his word. He always said that shit. Right. Eric says the Santa Ana Spring was more like a political nuclear winter. Damn. All right. Hey, I want to hear.
Next week, we want Carolyn and Eric on the show.
Yeah.
I know. Seriously.
That was a pretty good show.
They've been bringing the heat. Yeah, we want to get Jesse on the show. We want to get more other folks on. But very quickly, so before we wrap up, Carlos, what are your thoughts about, and I know it's a packed question, but again, just in general, are you hopeful about Joe Biden and his ability to turn the tide as far as immigrant rights, and from Stephen Miller dictated immigrant policy to perhaps even slightly less cruel? Like, what are you feeling optimistic, or are you feeling like we got our work cut out for us, or you as an advocate for immigrant rights? What do you feel?
We have our work cut off. I mean, we're starting to look at, already who's part of his cabinet.
Did you like his appointment of the DHS individual?
I mean, it's like it's DHS, it's like, it's like asking, You know, how are you feeling about the new chairman of the Nazi Party? You know, CHS. But I think with Biden though is, you know, it's definitely not Trump, but the concern that I have is how much political cover are the Democratic Party and Latino Bandidos going to try to give him on deportations, on not acting on executive power to, you know, expand as much as he can on immigrant, you know, for immigrant communities. I think that the chorus that they're already singing is immigration reform. And immigration reform is not going to be viable in this administration because they don't control the Senate. So
not yet. We got 2 elections in Georgia.
Hopefully, right? But even with that, right, immigration reform, or whatever they want to call it, it's going to need more than just a simple majority from the Democratic Party. You know, it's going to need 60 votes in the Senate, and we don't have 60 votes in the Senate. So the issue is going to be, what is he going to do? You know, he needs to stop deportations immediately. There needs to be a moratorium on deportations. What is going to happen to asylum seekers at the border that are, instead of, you know, giving asylum, they're given detention? And the other thing is, you know, this issue on family separation or the policy of family separation. I think everyone gets caught up in, you know, kids at the border and families being separated at the border. But the issue is the Obama administration had a family separation board policy. It was just not, you know, visibly on detention centers at the border. It was, you know, in the communities, people being separated. So the question that is going to be for the Biden administration is, what's going to be your immigration policy internally on immigration? And, you know, I think we have our work cut out. It's going to come down to a local level, you know, like cities like Santana, that, you know, how are we going to continue to hold our line and then hold accountable Biden from the local to national perspective on immigration.
Here's what we're pushing to Perea, because, you know, now he's going to be flip-flopping on immigration. He's not going to be all about it, but we're going to go after him. You know, we have to really make sure and hold his feet to the fire to support us where we want to go. Because he's gonna go back to the way he was before Trump, which is not supporting immigrants.
Yeah,
you know, the dream. All that.
You're right. In a Trump administration, Blue Korea looks like a damn progressive in comparison, right? But we know better, and so will Blue Korea support sanctuary, this and that, or, you know, ending immediately deportation, abolishing ICE? I don't think so. You know,
the writings on the wall. You know, Santana went for Bernie. Santana went for Biden. Also, you know, Garngo Anaheim. So, and even with these recent elections, you know, it's clear that the congressional representative needs to match the political reality of the district. And so, you know, the next 2 to 4 years, we're gonna see what's gonna happen there.
What's good, dude?
Yeah.
So you're feeling hopeful, Ben, or you feel like we've got our work cut out for us?
We're back where we're at with Obama, which is not as bad as Trump, but we're back, and the work continues. Yep. But we organize Santana, and hopefully other communities are organizing, and they can see what we did here, and they start organizing as well. And we have to start from the bottom up and push politicians to be speaking this language and supporting this language. The more people we have talking about it, even at the school board level, talking about what we need for our students in the community, the more it moves up and into the state level government and into the House of Representatives and hopefully the Senator, and everybody has to take their part in it. So we need to buckle up and get back to work like we were doing, you know, all the work that was being put in, and support all the work and support all the youth doing their work as well, because they carried the load for many years.
That's right.
That's right. The whatever they're doing, don't look down on it. It's all viable. All the dreams that youth have for themselves and immigrants have for them, it's viable. Let's go help them do this work.
Yeah, brunch is over, guys. It's like, can we do brunch and then fight? We could do both. Come on, guys. Like,
the brunch period is over. Celebration is okay. Maybe on the new year. How's that?
All right. Well, Guys, this has been just a really an awesome conversation. I think we touched on a lot of different things. But yeah, I think ultimately why I wanted to have you two on in particular, because I learned so much from each one of you individually, and I think Dylan could probably speak to that as well. But as far as our work at El Centro and how that like made me understand, I came from being like basically a self-hating Mexican that wanted to do change, but didn't understand the first thing about leftist organizing or immigrant rights organizing and coalition building, and I learned that, and it was tough lessons to learn, but I think I got better, and I think we all have in different ways. I made mistakes along the way, and we all have, but we've gotten to this place where now we can rejoice in our camaraderie, our solidarity, and our wins. So yeah, I think that's Benjamin, with your work as an educator, but also as a board member of El Centro for years, and your work with with the May Day Coalition. Carlos, you as well, your work with immigrant rights and May Day Coalition, and Dylan Thompson as well, who was for many years there, he was holding it down when some people left the coalition. We won't talk about that. Yeah.
I was like, bye.
I wasn't there for that. I came in the year after.
That's right. Yeah,
you're gonna do what they're gonna do.
That's right. But we all felt I think we evolve, we grow, and we continue to live to fight another day. So I think that's the positive story that I want to just take away from this, and that I feel very strongly that some activists, advocates, and folks have gotten smarter and better at being more strategic and be more intentional about the vision and the mission for how to win. So Carolyn Torres was with Chicanos Unidos was also big on May Day Coalition. So we all, and I can't believe that it's been freaking 10 years ago. At least for me, my involvement with it.
First year we didn't have a May Day.
I know.
In, many years.
We had a children's march, though. We had a children's march.
Oh, damn. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Ben continued
holding it down, Ben.
Marches and such.
Nothing stops this man.
And colorful marches with that. So yeah, just final comments from you, Carlos, and Ben, before we say adieu to you.
I think that I'm hopeful. Right? I think we have. It's gonna be a good year, and it's gonna be a lot of work. I feel really like I don't know, it feels good. It feels good to be that our communities are in a different position. From constantly defending ourselves, and now we got good people on council, the school board. They're amazing, and I feel that this is the beginning of how we move forward. And one thing that is going to be always important, right? No matter what, it's always going to come down to the organizing on the ground. Yes, the policy. Yes, we have. We need to. How are we going to govern and present a new vision that is different from that of Pulido or the dinosaurs. But it's also going to be important to continue nurturing relationships and ourselves and it's been 2020 was wild, so we don't know what 2021 is going to be, so but
yeah.
We're ready.
Has to be better.
Yeah,
has to be.
Yes,
at this rate at least. What about you, Ben? Closing remarks.
I'm hopeful because Santa Ana has been trained and Santa Ana has been organizing, and there's so many groups across the city who see the difference, and hopefully they buy into the stuff that we did in Co-op Campaign. Hopefully we get folks from Health Access, from the Centro Cultural de Mexico, from Resilience OC, other folks have been doing work with SHPHC who want to step into doing this work as well, because it matters. These are the people we ask for change. This is where we ask for the policy. So if folks can create this network that we've created over the last 10 years where the California Endowment came into town 10 years ago and lit a fire in Santa Ana. And people have been trained, and now it's time to move on that and to see these changes. And the changes from the school board to the city, and hopefully we get into assembly and we get into county board and even the representative. We've been talking about Lou, like we got to take over all those positions across the board. The whole city has to come in. Like I would love to see more folks from Latino Health Access and more folks from el Centro Cultural de Mexico and those places that are service oriented to move on this work, so we make bigger changes faster. And that work is, you know, walking door to door in this kind of campaigns, electoral politics. And it doesn't have to be what it was before. The electoral politics should be grassroots in Santa Ana. It's not about who has the most money, who has the deepest pockets. It's about people moving for themselves. So it can be grassroots. If we don't have to lose ourselves to it, we go with people power, and that's where we ask for folks to come out and talk to those things. So there's a bunch of people who we need door knocking with us. We need to be working with us or themselves and creating their own candidates. But we need to come together when it comes to these things and make sure we get the right people in. And if you're not voting now, your word and your mouth and you knocking on doors and making phone calls, that's your vote. You're still part of the democratic process. If folks are undocumented or don't have, or simply have their residency, they can't vote. They can affect the politics of the city by putting in work, and that's your democracy in action. And we need everybody's help. We need more people because they're going to come after us next time.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. All right. Well, once again, Commissioner Carlos Perea, educator, and the People's Mayor Benjamin Vazquez. Thank you so much.
Fan.
What?
Top fan.
Oh yeah, Benjamin, top fan.
Yeah, and I just want to point out a lot of people in the comments are saying this is like a conflict of interest. We're going to have to revoke your top fan status. We need to maintain our integrity. Okay.
I did the work to get top fan. I didn't pay nobody off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Practice that line well. Nudge. Okay.
And Yenny Diaz says wants to mention the Orange County Dream Team there before the endowment came into Santana. Big facts. Yeah. And Carlos, I believe you came from that, and yeah, absolutely. The Dream Act movement nationwide and Orange County Dream Team definitely set the groundwork for a lot of this. Just hardcore, like getting arrested and pushing the envelope type of work, right? And that her and Jairo and and yourself, Carlos, and many other people, but Vanessa, so a lot of people, Alexis, just folks that.
Too many people have been involved in this, and that all of where we are now is due to that. And I also want to give a shout out to like badass Vietnamese progressives also in the west end of Santana and the neighbor cities where, if we want to win big in the county, we gotta start building those solidarity and genuine political coalitions, and that's why I'm looking to that. That's also right. Cool.
Yeah, shout out to Viet Rise and all those folks that are doing that, and could not be happier. We just need all sorts of more people. Big cause and a cause. The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few.
Takes a village.
Takes a village. Thank you so much, Benjamin and Carlos. We will be seeing you all very soon.
Yeah, thanks
after the pandemic's done. All right.
Woo! Woo! All power to the people.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Okay.
Power to the people.
We'll have to say, by the way, we were talking about delegation earlier, and the first time I took up work in May Day, it's because Yenny was like, "You're doing art," and I'm like, okay.
That's right. Yeah. You're like, I'm not an artist. You are now.
I don't know. Yeah, you're doing it. You're learning now, baby. Yeah, but yeah, so.
I remember you would get mad at me because you would be there and we wouldn't help you, and then I'd be like, all right, fine, I'll come by.
Remember when? Okay, let's not talk about that story.
I know it's too much.
There's another story when I was in charge of the program that we won't go into. Let's say I needed Jose's help to bail me out of the actual execution of the program 1 year. So that's a fun. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about.
Ah, yes, I do. Oh, when I had
delicious.
When I had to tell a white man to check his.
No, that was
10-minute speech.
God bless your soul, dude. The urgency was lit under you. You were just like, oh, executive command right now, baby. Stop talking. We're marching. Let's go, you know? Yeah, anyway. So, hey, it had to happen.
So, so I try to tell people, it's like sometimes I got to be that guy, to do that type, stuff. But
and I really hope there's no hard feelings either way, because, I mean, God bless everyone in our community that was pitching in for that event.
I think I defriended that guy, but
okay.
Yeah, Carolyn says, and definitely shout out to Chicanos Unidos, Cop Watch, Santana, because they were very instrumental early on in stopping, and doing the, waving people so that they wouldn't get their cars impounded before that, that law changed. Colectivo Tonantzin, with Hema and Scott. Yeah, just incredible work. Orange County Mayday Coalition, and of course, as we mentioned, El Centro as well. So yeah,
yes,
we got momentum. We got the wind behind our sails, but as mentioned, Anaheim politics is a cautionary tale of that. If the powers that be, the people with money, they'll get, they'll figure out how to work better within the district election system, and they could, in 2 years, the council could very much change, including the mayorship, because that part of the the change with the term limits and everything, that's now a 2-year term. Different to it is in Anaheim, where it's a 4-year term. So, Jeebus Rice, election season will be here before you know it. So yeah, understand that, and hooray! But yeah,
good times.
Good times.
Oh,
so
final note. Oh, Ben was talking about that we're talking about like Biden and Trump and stuff. It's like, yeah, I guess we should be more hopeful than that if Trump won. But like what Ben said, it has to start at the grassroots, right? So even this work that they've done, even though it's focused on local elections, I mean, it's really building a network of people that's necessary, on a small level, because like, how are we gonna get a president in, it's going to take a huge amount of movement from the base. We're not going to suddenly, I mean, with Bernie Sanders not being able to do it, that was very close. In some points, it seemed close, right? But it's like, this seems like we're going to need either a grassroots change of the chemistry of the Democratic Party, or a formation of another party, or a formation of coalitions that don't care what political party you're in, but it has to start from the base, and it has to start with this building this knowledge, like you said, a leadership pipeline even, right? So God bless their souls. That's all. I'm done. I'm very sorry to our engineer and the audience for speaking.
Yeah, agreed. And so we got our work cut out for us. We talked a whole bunch about it on the last show. Please check out our last show and our past shows, where you can learn about Gustavo Arellano's flawed election predictions, and the many times we've had our good friend Dr. Jose Moreno on the show, and and cooperative campaigns before the election, and now, and the things that they were talking about then, and to what we talked about with our couple of members now. But yeah, it's been a journey. We have one more show before we wrap up for 2020, and then we will be back in 2021 with all sorts of mystical, magical, memorable guests talking about the issues that matter. So please like us on Facebook. It's Happening Show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, among other things. So yeah, we're places. You can listen to us while you're driving. We're on Instagram. It's happening.podbean.com, right? So many places where you can find us, and please do, because I think you will appreciate the conversations we've had with the leaders on the front lines, talking about the issues that matter to you. So big shout out to everybody that joined us, and everybody that was commenting, Donna Michelle Acevedo, who also ran for office way back when. But yeah, too many. But Janelle Hardy, thank you so much. Please like, share this video, and tune in next week where we will have another guest, and we will see who that is.
Mystery guest teaser.
Go from Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria with his new little necklace.
Damn, you're looking fresh. Got that vest back on, man.
Oh yeah. I got my Marty McFly.
Hells yes.
We're going back to the future, baby.
Let's go.
Like New York up in this.
Too cool.
Yo, where Brooklyn at? What? Right.
Yeah, I'm cool too.
Oh, big shout out to Edgar Silva, audio video engineer, and cool glasses. Iron Lion Media Studios. Putting it down. I couldn't do it without this brother. So yeah.
And our new mascot.
Cocky the
Weedy okay, I thought cocky first. My own. Okay, yeah, it's Cocky the cockatiel. Our fucking mascot. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thanks again for getting your weekly dose of political news.
I can't turn this off.
Lyrical twist.
Hold it.
And tune in next week when you'll see the many different.
There we go. Finally.
You're cute.
Right. You gonna pet me after the show?
I am.
It's okay, good. Oh right. Yeah, it's happening, baby.
From Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria, all of us here, and it's happening. We are signing off.
It's happening.
No es libertad, lo que tú vives es vulgar. Ser un esclavo sin descansar mientras que el burgués se aprovecha de tus labores. Hay que luchar para vencer este sistema capital. Hay que leer